Introduction theme bit. It's another podcast. JTAKRAOSPE17, number 17. 4s 45 and 46, but first I've got some splaining to do. You might notice I sound a bit better, which is to say worse, but clearer than before. Well, you see, I've grown a new mic. It was a long, painful process that changed me forever. Also, I'll say it's why I haven't done shit over the holidays. That and entertaining family, sinus troubles keeping me from breathing for a couple weeks. And of course that whole debacle with Hitler's Genesis device. Alright, the podcast. First things first, and here that is other things. Occasionally, when I feel like it. I do this time, so we'll start off with the subject on everyone's mind. That one stage in that one Fire Emblem game. Those archers are bullshit! Also, Vampanese. I don't understand how that's a thing, yet also isn't a racial slur. Also, I'm bored, and now I have to hold up a 100-pound mic, so on with the show. 4's 45, the 45th episode. We begin with Team Fjordsengard celebrating Boring Douchebag's birthday. They sarcastically comment on how Douchebag's grown more human over the, let's say, year, but Boring Douchebag doesn't get sarcasm, so he takes their comments for truths. With such egotistical members around me, it is only natural for change to occur. We were just saying you've gotten slightly less douchey. Enough with your humbling display of ego. It is time now for you to hang on my every word as I spew out meaningless phrases. Just eat your damn birthday cake. Elsewhere, in another camera angle, we see the school lunch lady man call out to Team Fjordsengard. Did somebody say birthday? I'm sorry, that's actually off. I thought it would be Uncle Scrooge from OOO's show, cause he's the kind of crazy bastard that would kill a lunch lady and put on her clothes just for a birthday gag. As it turns out, it's not that guy, but the green-eyed man, who I guess would do the same. But it would sound more like, "Well, hey kids, did somebody say birthday? You know, that reminds me of a funny story about how I fired the lunch lady man and hired myself so I could offer you some of my special space soup." Oh man, space is like my thing. Hand it over, Pops. Oh, mine too, but why are you here and not running the school? Drink all of your poisonously good for you soup and I'll tell you. Green-eyed man, you're alright. Let's do my buddy handshake thing. No thanks. Also, watch who you're talking to, you little shit. One of these days, one of your precious little buddies is gonna turn out to be an asshole. An asshole! Boring Douchebag starts to ask what brought that on, then he falls over shaking. This reminds the green-eyed man of 20 years ago, when the good half of Kamen Rider Kiva was taking place. In those days, the green-eyed man was chilling on the moon with Boring Douchebag's father. Said Boring Patriarch stumbled slightly one time, so you can see why Boring Douchebag's seizure would bring the green-eyed man back to this. You're a trained astronaut, you're on the goddamn moon and you trip. How does that happen? I'm sorry, it's just that I thought I saw space bitches. As it turns out, they did not find space bitches. But they do find a switch on the moon, which they immediately conclude will lead them to Space God. Boring Father and the green-eyed man accordingly high-five, but their echo is a bit loud for them being on the moon, so they brace for a moonvalanche. Which finally gets us to an introduction that intro-lanches us to a first-person perspective monster. It's really just Fjordsengard. He's in the hospital visiting the Fly, not to be confused with the Fly, but who is also a Fly guy from several episodes back. I suppose he went in the hospital with Boring Douchebag, realized he hated Boring Douchebag, and started wandering. Another old face, Hottie Extra 2's there as well, and she flips Fjordsengard after he grabs her shoulder to remind the audience that she stole her character from history's strongest disciple, Kenichi. It seems that the extra pair were fired from being extras after stealing the show last time, so Hottie Extra 2 follows Fjordsengard outside to beg him for a job as full-time member of Team Fjordsengard. And it's around here that Orko turns up. Not by his usual means of teleporting or shape-shifting, but by driving a car. For you see, this is his clever way of acting human while in human form, which he's in. Orko grabs Hottie Extra 2 and begins to drag her back to his car, but Fjordsengard stops him. "Yeah, I'm not sharp or nothing, but this is smelling kinda rapey, pal." "What? Oh no, it's just that she won a trip to America." for space training, but it's on the condition that she go with me right now without asking questions. You know how it is. Excitable girl, who's also there now, pipes in. Space training in America? Wow, that's what you promised me your boring douchebag would get but didn't follow up on. Oh man, she is so in. Excitable girl then shoves Hottie Extra 2 in Orko's car, ignoring the screams of protest. Orko drives off, looking as though he's wondering how he got away with that. And we follow him driving to the emptiest beachside road in Japan, but he's waylaid by a Vincent Vega breathing fire at him. Which again, Vincent Vega can do because he's a Leo. So for the fire, Orko not really crashes, but kinda swerves the car to the side beach at an angle where we can't see that the car's perfectly intact. At which point, luckily, Fjordsengard shows up for not so much luck as Orko being really suspicious and creepy earlier. Figuring there's only 4 episodes left, Orko says fuck it and transforms into Orko, the space monster, right in front of Fjordsengard. After which Vega declares Orko a traitor and they fight over Hottie Extra 2, who's in truth the last space monster general. And in case you weren't keeping count, that means she's the Pisces monster, known only otherwise as I'll think of a name for her monster form when I actually see it. Or not. Orko and Fjordsengard team up now, and together they succeed in making the villain retreat at the halfway mark of an episode. And to celebrate their victory, exposition is exposited. Orko explains most everything implied in the last 10 minutes, that he was afraid of outliving his usefulness once the last Space Monster General was found, so he went and abducted her. And again, probably just forgot he could teleport. But, you know, since he's here and Team Fjordsengard's in the neighborhood, he wants to join them. And to sell them on his good intentions, Orko sets his acting to maximum Reeves. He pauses, turns, pauses again, his open jacket billowing in the artificial wind. I will do anything to protect myself, Fjordsengard. Holy crap, this guy's like a real actor. Let's do my buddy handshake thing. Wait! An annoying voice shouts from a hamburger robot I was wondering why Excitable Girl was carrying. I believe we must first test his resolve and breakdancing prowess before we can trust him to our secret handshake. Fine. Hey Orko, can you tell us who that green-eyed man was with the force powers and crap? Oh, well sure, that's the green-eyed man. Oh, yeah, that kinda makes sense. Except he did just give us a meal with only enough poison to hit boring douchebag. And who the hell are you again? I'm your childhood friend, I follow you everywhere. Oh, yeah, right. Hey Orko, is she cool? Just play it safe. The soup thing was just the green-eyed man's half-assed way of trying to be likable near the end of the series. God, I love him. I mean, hate him. What I love is what you guys are always on about. You mean like friendship? French chicks, right. That's what I'm into. And I'm pretty sure that clears up my trustworthiness. Still, for good measure, I'll tell you about the green-eyed man's secret plans. He keeps forgetting our secret anyway. Somewhere around this part of Japan is what can only be described as a space hole. The green-eyed man wants to jump in that space hole to reach Space God, but the problem is the hole's too tight. So to tear it open, the green-eyed man was going to use the combined force of the Western Zodiac. You hold on, Douchey was right. The presenter is Space God. We're actually doing this. Also, when did J.K. Rowling get here, and how did all of us suddenly wind up in the school's warehouse bar dance stage? The show's running long, so I'm gonna explain the rest while I breakdance. So the big flaw with the green-eyed man's plan, dancing noises, is that tearing the space hole that wide will make a black hole. And because black hole isn't PC, we gotta call it a dark nebula. That was the greatest 10 seconds of dancing I've ever seen. I believe that those were indeed some really slick moves. However, we should still take his space monster switch. Orko turns to Fjordsengard at this, by which I mean directly away from Fjordsengard while addressing him. So you want my space switch? That's fine. But you know the reason I'm here is because of the countless students that Team Evil has sent to the infirmary. Whether it was by encouraging space monsters to run amok, or a simple act like giving students brain tumors to block their memories. Who can say when it was, but somewhere down the line our quest to create a black hole that would envelop the Earth was tainted. Though if I were to narrow it to a moment, it was probably when that dragon kid killed all those people throwing his balls around. And that was just awful. Now if you don't believe my change of heart, then that's fine. But if that's so, then I'm gonna keep turning around. Maybe pause a bit more too. And if you're still not convinced, I'm gonna bang on this wall. Bang, bang!
Oh, not the wall. Anything but the wall. I love that wall. Make him stop.
Alright, you're in. Just stop stealing my show with all that acting.
But didn't he say earlier he was here for self-preservation?
Yeah, but it's Burkos before Horkos. By the way, I'm rich if you guys want to hang at my place. And who are you again? Huddy Extra 2? Did you always sound like... Does it matter?
So the team relocates to Hottie Extra 2's, but Lucy's Satan senses tingling. Yes, again, she actually has this. She notices what looks like a guitar pick in Hottie Extra 2's pocket, but it's in truth a spoon. Being noticed, the spoon starts wriggling around. Trippy. Speaking of, we move to Boring Douchebag at the school with Orko. The school where they now know the green-eyed chairman wants to kill them. The two are looking for clues on how to beat the green-eyed man in Strawberry Ice Cream Head Lady Man's office. Something the team could have done weeks ago by asking Rainbow Joe to get them in, but luckily all of Lady Man's crap is still lying around. This includes a cassette case with a cover labeled Moon Rock, a piece of the lunar meteorite NWA 4734. Probably Lady Man's favorite band. Yes, he hated the moon, but he loved them ironically. Douchebag's heart stops when he thinks of what he'll have to go through to find a Walkman these days, so he drops on the spot. But he recovers quickly per the requirements of the narrative. He pops the case open and sees not a cassette inside, but a USB drive with Douchebag written on it. As Boring Douchebag ponders who this could be for, Orko gets a call on his cell from Fjosengard. Yes, they exchanged numbers, they're besties now.
Hey, what's going on? I'm calling from Meanwhile earlier, and there's this blue spoon thing wriggling around.
Ooh, yeah, that's a Trappy the Trap Skirt tentacle. They can detach and turn into spoons and crab. You gotta watch out for those. Vincent Vega can track them.
Well, that makes sense, cause Vincent Vega's kinda here now.
Click and scene. So Vega shows up in front of Team Fjosengard-A. He turns into Hypnos the French fry beard, but Team Fjosengard outruns his sleep gas. Excepting Captain S and Queen Bitch, but who gives a shit about them? The team runs outside, but Vega hops in front of them to fire more of the No. He changes to his human form and introduces himself for no reason. Hey, how's it going? I'm just a passing by Vincent Vega. Remember it.
Oh man, that was Kamen Rider Decade's catchphrase. Why'd you remind me of that crappy show and that crappy movie and the remake of that crappy movie I've got a co-star in?
Didn't my shape-shifting tip you off? I am Kamen Rider Decade.
Motherfucker. Fish legs. Let's show this bitch how we do things in space.
And so it's on, as if unto Donkey Kong. Troy's a putz, however, and went into the fight carrying Orko's Space Monster switch. So Vega knocks him around, picks that up, and hops away. Also, Vega refers to Orko as Scales, because he's the Libra monster. And on the satellite of Funk, the withered corpse of Clawful can be seen rolling about furiously. Back on planet Earth, Vega corners Hottie Extra 2 and wants to make her turn into a space monster. Luckily, Orko had enough time in the last 3 minutes to drive to the mansion and jump to her rescue. You against me? I don't think you realize the scale of your mistake, Orko. So Vega kicks Orko's ass and Boring Douchebag has another fakey heart attack.
I believe it's the big one this time. I'm coming, Elizabeth.
J.K. Rowling is also there and does nothing worth mention. So Hottie Extra 2 grabs her space switch off the ground, says something like,
line about power that'll easily be taken out of context in an episode preview,
and then turns into a space monster. She's a fish, so maybe fish legs? I'll just stick to Hottie Extra 2. As a monster, she fights Vega. Fjosengard and Troy catch up so as to gawk as that goes on for a bit. And now the green-eyed man shows up to bring it all to an end of the episode-y pace. And he does so by explaining that he's the villain of the show, as we all already know. And he's okay having no further character.